Look at all these notes you have. Oh, you get to be professional?
I could definitely wing it. I mean, I'm not gonna.
Look at all these notes you have. Oh, you get to be professional?
I could definitely wing it. I mean, I'm not gonna.
Timer. I think we stick to like around 5 minutes a subject.
Yeah. 5, 10,
Yeah.
10. Yeah, definitely.
If anything, we'll fill at the end.
Yeah.
Oh man, we are blurry as fuck. If anything, we'll fill. There we go.
Yeah.
We'll put Black Lives Matter, and we'll give them blurry video. What they can do about it?
They can't say shit.
Nope. The lighting wise, I think we're okay. We'll put Black Lives Matter, and we'll give them blurry video. What they can do about it?
They can't say shit.
Nope. The lighting wise, I think we're okay. You get Tobago a stick just to make sure. You get Tobago a stick just to make sure.
Want a drink? If you're making a drink, I'll take one. If you're making a drink, I'll take one.
This cool summer breeze now.
So her one, I mean, she's doing fine. She launched that membership site. I don't think it went like she thought. The first week, so her ended up hiring like a marketing company to help her promote it and stuff. But
The video seemed a little. I actually wanted to hit her up on it. Let me do this video for you. Like it was good.
no,
Some of it was like a little. Like the words didn't have the right weight as it was moving.
so when I told her, I was like, "Yo, the video looks. I mean, like
it's
any.
clean, it's good. It's
Yeah, it's
professional.
very good. Yeah, clean, professional. It feels like a corporation did it. My only problem was like when I told her, the only thing I noticed, I was like, man, why is this video like the words repeated exactly what the I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, that just stuck out because I was like, that's kind of redundant. But I'm not a video expert. But the next following week,
Hey, what's up? So, Tonio, you ain't supposed to be watching this link. How'd you find this?
who's watching?
Tonio? That's cool. He can watch.
Yeah, whatever. Go ahead, man.
Tonio, this is like a private video that will be released for WasabiCon this weekend.
Saturday
Saturday?
at 6.
Yeah. So you can be in the trial run, Tonio. Like a private video that will be released. We'll talk more about it later.
Saturday.
Yeah. So you can be in the trial run, Tonio. We'll talk more about it later. You want to go and kick off, or?
I got one more section around.
You're such a good student.
Well, I just know if not, I'm gonna be stuttering on.
You want to go and kick off, or? Now let us know what you think, Tonio. Such a good student.
Well, I just know if not, I'm gonna be stuttering on.
Trying to play with toys, Tobago. What are you up to, Tony? I don't know why I'm calling you Tony. What are you up to, Tony? I don't know why I'm calling you Tony. What you doing, Tobago? Playing some Fortnite? What are you, a damn child? What are you doing playing Fortnite for, Tony? Yo, that is not what the King of Wakanda plays. Playing some Fortnite? What are you, a damn child? What are you doing playing Fortnite for, Tony? Yo, what is that? Sound coming out from something? Oh, I'm getting a slight echo. I'm glad we listened. Probably. Checking for echo. Tanya says, later play a little Among Us. See? Just that one Among Us earlier. That's the hot shit right now.
Oh, these young kids are meanwhile, I just want to play a flute on top of a shrine.
What the fuck? Oh, yeah.
The fox.
Yes. Oh no, the fox left before I could pet it. What the fuck?
Damn it. That fucking bird. There are times bird, I'm like, where do you want me to go?
So, do you have a surround? Is your sound system, is it surround sound?
Oh, I got
okay. So either need to pick that up a few notches or get the headphones. Because then you don't even need to see the bird. You can just hear it. And just
I have no problem hearing it.
Like once you're falling.
Sometimes it'll go by a rock and I'm like, do you want me to climb it?
Yeah, like where? Yeah. You keep talking. There we go.
I just need to lean in up a little bit.
You're good.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I think the echo's fixed now. Oh, yeah, be careful because it's all the stuff up top.
Okay. No worries.
Actually, yeah, if you want to, we can pick it up some. There you go. Now pull it forward. Yeah, you cornered or whatever.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Look at that. We got two. Man, this is going to be the brownest panel on WasabiCon.
Alright, let me.
Tonio, so echo good now?
Sleep?
What you trying to do?
I'm just trying to turn on, keep my phone on. Alright, there we go. Oh, auto lock. Okay. There we go. I am now good to go. Oh.
Alright, I guess we're starting now. Hello, online WasabiCon people.
Hey, WasabiCon.
I'm Ryan from GAM.
I'm Botter from the Short Box. Which camera am I looking at?
Oh, that one.
The only
Yeah,
one.
looking at that camera,
The one
yeah.
of one camera.
I
yeah.
took the other one down. So yeah, we're here to talk about 5 reasons that each of us still love gaming and comic books, pretty much.
You know, Ryan.
What is it, Bonner?
Having been content creators for so long,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy to feel like burnt out at times.
Yeah, because we've been creating content since maybe March 2020, maybe
Ooh.
April.
I was like, wait, March 2020 is a long time ago, and it does feel like a long
Yeah.
time ago. But as someone who's been recording a podcast since 2012,
Yeah.
I know I've had days and moments, and even like longer time frames where I'm like, man, I am so tired of talking about comic books, pop culture, and movie. Have you had the same thing?
Yeah, I get grilled all the time because kind of like you, we started around the same. I think both of us started in 2012,
Mm-hmm.
and you on the comic book side, me on the gaming side of things, and we'll do so many gaming events, and everyone's like, "Oh, Ryan, did you play that game?" I'm like, "Nah,
Oh, God.
I did not," or "I did not. I played it for 30 minutes, and that was it." Because you get kind of burnt out because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So it takes something really significant
Mm-hmm.
to kind of pull you in and reinvigorate that love that you have.
I agree, and it isn't just it takes something to pull you in, but I think your perspective also changes too because
Yeah.
you're not looking at it from a sense of enjoyment. I know for me with comic books, I need to look at how much time I've got to spend, and then is this going to be mentioned on the show? Can I make an
Yeah.
episode out of it? How can I incorporate this? Like it's hard for me to the line between entertainment and is this going to be
You've
podcast?
got to multitask with everything you're doing. Every bit of content that you're consuming, you're thinking in the back of your head, how am I repurposing this?
Mhm.
Like, is this only
Yep.
going to check off the content creation box?
Yes.
Is this only going to check off the box for my audience? Is this something I can genuinely love? And can I talk to my boys about this? Like, we're all friends. So like, what's my crew playing, or what are they reading? You know, there's so many.
And I don't know about you, but I know there are times I feel guilty where if I am enjoying, you know, whether it be a comic book
Yeah.
or a video game, I'm like, this could be used to. I could be hopping on. I could be recording an extra episode. I could, you know, be recording an extra video. I could be learning a new skill for the podcast.
Dude, so I'm sure we're going to talk about this as one of our kind of like 5. But there are so many times where I'm playing like Ghost of Tsushima. And it'll be like 2-3 hours in. I'm like, damn, I really should be doing something else. Maybe I should be focusing on, oh man, I should have put that update on that poster. Should I be streaming this game instead? Because I'm having a lot of fun during it. So I get you.
Yeah. But I think it's important that we have those moments where we dive into those rabbit holes where we can feel like a fanboy again. Because
Yeah.
I think it shows in our content. You know, I know
Mhm.
for me, when I have the opportunity to dive back in or find a new comic book series or revisit like an old classic, and I can, you know, just enjoy it.
Mhm.
I know that, you know, if I bring it up on the show, great. If not, it is what it is. But it gives me, it's like a battery recharge. I can
Yeah.
go back on the show and I know why. Like, man, this is why
It's a reminder.
Exactly. This is why I've dedicated, you know, 8 years of talking about,
Mhm.
you know, comic books and things like that.
Cool. So let's go ahead and start off. We're gonna go back and forth, kind of, and go over 5 things that both of us love in regarding to like our passions. I'm sure there's gonna be stuff that's gonna overlap,
For sure.
but hopefully these are things that you guys enjoy too. If you haven't heard of these things or checked them out, you definitely should. Or hell, hit one of us up and we'll talk to you about it because obviously we like this stuff.
Yeah.
You want to jump off? You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So for me, my premise is
That's great. So I want to talk about.
yeah, I feel I was like, man, we're doing so good professionally. No, so you know, our whole goal was 5 things within our particular scope. So for me, comic books that we feel kind of has re-energized us as fans.
Mhm.
So I was thinking about what are 5 comic book titles that recently have really made me like, wow, I love being a comic book fan.
Yeah.
This is re-energizing my love of comic books. So my 5 are going to be within the. I wanted to keep it current because I think it's real easy to pick like old ones.
Mhm.
So this is something within all of my titles are within like the last 2 years at the most, if not this year.
And none of this stuff is adult. I told him not to put any of that stuff on here. So.
Yeah, not my heavy metal mags. All right, but the first one I'll go ahead and champion is the Immortal Hulk ongoing comic book series by Al Ewing, and then artwork by Joe Bennett. It launched last year. Well, not even last year. I'm sorry. This is August 2018 is when it started. It's currently on issue 37. And the reason why this one is
this with the new Caddis Hulk?
Say it again.
Is this with like is this Bruce Banner Hulk? Or this is like
yes,
the
yeah, absolutely. So Al Ewing is a fantastic writer, and when I saw the news that he was going to do a Hulk series, I was like, man, that's kind of a particular, character, because Hulk just is one of them characters that, he's important. He's a flagship title character. I mean, his first, he's established in 1962, one of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's first kind of Marvel creations. But he's always been a character that it's sort of like the Superman problem. He's just too strong. Like, what stories can you tell about this massive behemoth that's, the strongest there is? But Al Ewing has taken that challenge and completely made him a character, like a very interesting, nuanced character with the story arc. And they introduce a lot of original Hulk lore that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby initially started, because Hulk was kind of had a lot of horror elements. Like he would turn into the Hulk at nighttime. He was definitely more of like the Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type vibe. And you get that feeling from reading this current story arc.
Which I feel like as a character, that was one of the things that he had kind of differentiate him from Superman. Like you're saying, like Hulk is so powerful all the time, but also he is a very flawed character, like by creation. So even as like the whole thing, remember he's walking down the street, dun, 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 you just feel sad.
Best piano,
But continue.
Sorry, what I will say is that this story arc is the most, I can confidently say for me, it is the most interesting and unique Hulk comic book series you'll read, because it feels sometimes like a horror comic book, and every issue they just ramp up the ante on just the things that they can do with this character. I mean, essentially the story is Bruce Banner finds out that he's immortal, so he'll die, but then he'll come back as the Hulk, and they introduce this different version of the Hulk called the Devil Hulk, and he's very cunning, very just it's just scary. I mean, he is not afraid to.
How's this time with all the Thanos stuff? Has it got there yet, or
this honestly feels like its own little pocket dimension. There's not too much overlap. I think the success of it recently, they've started to have him involved in other things. But that's what's been great about it is it's like, wow, how can they do half the stuff and when I say half the stuff they do, I'm talking very gory, body morphic, and just like the religious overtones, and they're playing with this concept they call like the Green Door, and that's where all of the Gamma related heroes come from, so they all can't die. I mean, it's crazy.
I was with you up until that moment, because then I thought of all the Spider-Man stuff. But it still sounds really cool, and I like how Marvel has made it where they can, Tobago, just jump around in like different universes now and actually just create these really interesting stories.
So I will say it is absolutely surprising. It's take what you thought you knew about the Hulk, toss it out the window, because Al Ewing is here to like establish a whole new status quo when it comes to the Hulk, and you'll be surprised of what they do with a flagship character like the Hulk. I'm telling you, it's insane. So that is that's my first pick for 5 comics that have completely re-energized me as a fanboy. Damn. What about you for video games?
Man, now is that on the Marvel app?
Yeah, actually it is. I think it's up to maybe issue 30. It's a good chunk.
I've been using that subscription a lot lately. It's so good.
It's the best bang for your buck.
For me, I guess I'll jump back on earlier. Just Ghost of Tsushima. Like I will say, Ghost of Tsushima reminds me so much of Uncharted 2. In terms of, it doesn't really do anything like that's such a surprise in terms of like, oh my god, this is like a new concept in terms of gaming. But everything it does so extremely well and refined. Like it does it to, oh, do you want to do like just sword slash battles? Yeah, we've done that all day. Okay, this is it to level 10. Oh, you want to do like big open world? Yeah, you can do that. This is to level 10. Oh, you didn't like going everywhere because it takes you forever to go? We're going to fast travel everything.
My God.
We're going to make you love your horse. Like, we're every single NPC character, you're going to be like, oh, that's Yuna's my girl. Oh, what's Masako up to? Like, everything it does so... And I don't know if you ever played Infamous.
Mm-mm.
So it's the same company that made Infamous. And Infamous, you can see from Infamous 1 to 2, like, you can see the progression in terms of like them as game designers getting better and better. Like, okay, the storytelling's better. Here's the pacing of my power-ups. And like the same thing with Ghost is like, okay, now if oh man, I don't want to kill this boar, but I need to get the hides because I want to get my bow and arrow better. And I'm like, oh dang, it's the bear. This is a big, beautiful creature. But oh man, the Mongols are I don't know if I can cuss on this one. The Mongols are messing with this bear. I'm on the bear side. F these Mongols. All right, now I'm going to get the bear too because I want to get the hides.
Do you know what else? Because I started playing last week. And you're right. Like, I feel like it's not new stuff.
It's not revolutionary. It's evolutionary to the extreme.
But man, it is probably one of the best looking games I've played. There are times I'm just riding my horse because I'm like, I gotta like, oh, it's fall.
Yeah.
You know. Also, one thing I want to add to everything you said was, it's also like an historical piece. I know that they take some creative liberties as far as like the actual accuracy.
Ain't nobody learned anything about historical with this game.
Well, honestly, I love collecting like the scrolls and artifacts and learning about it, because who isn't like a fan of like samurai movies or things that dabble in the same kind of content?
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm sorry. Here's what I'll say about it.
It's a very culturally exposing game.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Well said. Well said. I kept asking myself, why has it taken us this long to get a samurai game this good?
Yeah. No. Even I remember reading like the Japanese developers were like, "Yeah, this game is on point."
Huh.
Like
props that's cool. They got a cosign.
Western developers. Yeah. Like, because it is just so. And I wasn't hyped about this game at first. I remember seeing it at E3 and like they did the boom. Here's Ghost of Tsushima. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Samurai game. Like, we've done this. Whatever. But then when once it dropped, and like you're saying, like I'm walking through the grass and I'm just touching with my hands, or like I'm in the photo mode, like looking at like all the petals go by, and like the more you play the story, the more it's such an engrossing story, and I feel like it is such a palate cleanser, especially after Last of Us, where Last of Us was this pinnacle of games as an art form, very heavy-handed. And now you have almost like this is the summer blockbuster game. Where like this is like popcorn, but this is like the healthiest, best tasting popcorn you've ever had. Like you can just play this game.
It's the movie that you were like, yeah, I'll probably catch that. You weren't planning to catch it, but you had a free Friday. Someone bought you a ticket. You went and got like you saw it, and you're like, holy, like whoa. What did I just watch?
It's like discovering
I wasn't expecting it to be that good.
But it really is. Like, it is just that good. Like it'll probably be my game of the year, depending on what happens with Cyberpunk. But anybody can pick up and play and love Ghost of Tsushima.
Well said. Well said. All right, I'll follow up with my number 2 thing, which is this one came out last year, but it's still carrying on this year, which is Hickman's House of X, Power of X, which I guess I could just roll up into an umbrella and say Jonathan Hickman's X-Men has completely revitalized the X-Men franchise, not only for me, but I think it's safe to say for a lot of comic book readers. It is the probably the most recommended comic book I've been giving like new readers. For example, like Brian Brumleaf, who's been on our show a few times. That was the book I recommended he kind of jump in because it was designed for you to just jump in, not knowing anything about the previous X-Men series. And Jonathan Hickman does a really good job of giving the X-Men franchise like this very nuanced, futuristic makeover. He's remixing characters. He's giving the X-Men a whole new status quo. I mean, really, Marvel came to him and said, hey, here's the X-Men. Don't worry about any continuity.
Wait, Marvel likes X-Men again?
Yo. and that's actually a really good point, because prior to that, there was a lot of fans upset with the treatment of X-Men from Marvel because they didn't own, X-Men with the whole Fox things and things like that. They were trying to put Inhumans in their spot. But this just solidified. No, X-Men is still here.
Does anybody like the Inhumans?
It's still that's the issue.
No one likes the Inhumans.
House of X, Power of X is a great jumping on point. It is a really good self-contained story if you just want to read those and then bounce. But it also carries on to what the X-Men are doing now, which Jonathan Hickman is still in charge of. It's well thought out. Jonathan Hickman has always been a writer who is always about the long game. You get a great payoff. It's very nuanced, kind of hard to follow at times. He gives you a lot of information, and his world building is insane. But if you stick around with it, it's a great payoff. So I gotta say, Jonathan Hickman's X-Men is my number 2 pick for revitalizing my love of comic books.
Where would you put Hickman against Claremont?
Oh, come on. That's like that's the Father and the Holy Spirit. Yeah, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Nah, Claremont is still like, there's the Hickman is a great writer, but Claremont I grew up with. That's memory. Like you can't. I can't disattach the nostalgia.
Let's see. Number 2 for me. I'm gonna go back a little bit too, and say Dragon Ball FighterZ. Because that game brought me back. Like we didn't get a new Marvel the way we wanted it.
But you know what? We got Fighter Z, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because
how long have we wanted a decent Dragon Ball fighting game that wasn't Mugen?
That was legal.
Yeah, that was legal. That was legal. It didn't have Homer Simpson in it, and it's like this game is so freaking good. And I was excited when you were messaging me the other day, like, "Yo, it's on sale for this like
$16."
Yeah,
it was marked down from $100.
They do the same thing.
I already have a copy.
If you were gonna get Tekken right now, you're like, oh dang,
$10,
yeah, $10. But if you buy it like 2 months from now, it'll be like $100 if you want all the DLC.
Yep.
But fighters, you can tell the people making it are true fans of Dragon Ball. Like there's so many little intricate nods to the actual to the true series itself. All the I want to say cinematic kind of like special attacks. Depending if this guy is beating this guy at the end, there's now the special cutscene. It's like they remember when Roshi is like doing the special bringing you to the bottles.
It's I will back up what you said about
fan service.
100%. And it's small fan service moments that you're like, oh, I didn't think anyone else thought about that moment or recognize that power attack.
Even the like Yamcha, like if you beat him with and there's the crater in the ground, like it gets all that stuff right.
I think I was telling you prior to us didn't record. It feels like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for Dragon Ball Z.
Yep.
Like not only from character selection, but the cell shaded kind of like 1 foot
art direction.
Yeah, the art direction.
The way it feels, it's very snappy. It's just fun. It's just a fun game.
And I hope this doesn't sound like a backhanded compliment. It definitely can, but I noticed the controls are pretty much the same for everyone, but they offer enough nuanced gameplay as far as everyone kind of functions the same, but their attacks definitely aren't the same. You can also teleport. Well, what about, your defense? What about, are you a power-up type? Like, it gives you enough options to really switch it up and make it your own.
Yeah, and what they've done really well is they've continued to grow and change the game to be more like Marvel. So, like when they first kicked off, each person only had, 1 assist. And they upgraded to, now each person can choose, multiple different assists for balancing. And, like you're saying, every fighting game has, these are the mechanics. These are the things 1, 2, 3 to do. But you can play Goku, and then you can play Hit, and it is dramatically different in how you're gonna.
You picked a perfect example because Hit is the one character I'm like I cannot
figure
him out no matter what.
So it's good, and it's so good that I remember when Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out. And then, they released the Dragon Ball FighterZ trailer, and everyone was like, all right, Marvel's dead. Forget it. And then, your game's good when even Disney's like, yeah, we give up. We're not gonna support this game.
No more DLCs.
They said Wakanda for a limited amount of time. So, FighterZ, it reinvigorated me as, a Dragon Ball fan. Especially because, you got that whole Ultra Instinct. And as a fan of the Marvel Versus series, I want another Marvel game now to come out even more because I'm like, it can be done.
Oh, for sure.
Dragon Ball did it, so get it together, Capcom.
Agreed. All right, my number 3 comic book pick it's a new one. It's from Image Comics. It's called Stealth. It's by Mike Costa, and the art is by an artist named Nate Bellegarde. Bellegarde. It came out this year, March 2020, and it is currently on issue 5. It's only a 6-issue limited series. Number 6 comes out next month in October, or later this month in October. This one was This one's an interesting one because it came out. First issue came out in March. You know, the month that all of this, you know, the pandemic happened and everyone's life completely changed. I picked it up just because the cover looks really cool, and when it comes to Image, I'll give issue 1 of new series a shot whenever I can. This one was something completely new that I gave a shot at the beginning of COVID. It was from a creative team that I'm not too familiar with. I've heard their names, I just haven't really dived into their work. It gives me Invincible vibes. So if anyone's a fan of Robert Kirkman, his I think his magnum opus Invincible is one of the best comic book series. So it gives me like those vibes, not only from the art but also the appeal of like the characters. A lot of the characters have heart and things like that. It's essentially about a superhero named Stealth who's got like a badass armor. He lives in Detroit. He fights crime. He also has Alzheimer's, and it's all about how his son has to help bear the burden of not only his father having Alzheimer's, but his father's superheroic life, like in the decisions that come with that, i.e. supervillains finding out, wait a minute, Stealth, there's something different about him. So it's like this really heartfelt.
What's it called? Invincible?
Stealth. Yeah, it's got a lot of heart, and I'll admit that first issue, damn near I'm kind of tearing up talking about it now because it feels grounded, you know. Yeah. So I recommend if anyone's looking for something new. It's always fun to give like new series a shot. I know I listed Hulk and X-Men, and I'm sure some listening's like, yo, that's Botter, that's Marvel, of course.
Marvel.
Yeah. Throwback. But this is a series that I read, and it just kind of inspired me to continue giving new comics a shot. And I always encourage folks that Marvel, DC, yes, they put out good work. That's what that's what they're known for. But give those publishers like Images and your Dynamites and your IDWs a shot because they've got gems too. And this one was just a welcome surprise, and I just wasn't expecting to be this much a fan into it. I read that first issue, mid-March. Everything was changing in my life as it has for everyone. And I mean, I was I had read it among a stack of books, and this was the one that I just went right back. I read it like again right after I finished because I was like, man, damn, like what?
So this just started.
Yeah, it's only a 6-issue limited series. It ends later this month.
Is an arc, like defined arc for.
So apparently they gave the writer Mike Costa a shot. This is actually
let me borrow that. No.
Apparently this character has existed before. Like he was a 90s character, like a one-shot character. And Mike approached Image, or they approached, I forget, it's kind of by one or the other. So someone approached someone and said, hey, what can you do with this character? We kind of want to bring him back. How do you modernize him? Yeah. And they've done fantastic. So I recommend Stealth.
Really?
What's number 3?
Before I jump on number 3, is there an app for, like, look at Image stuff, like the way they have, like, Marvel and DC, where you can, like...
The closest thing would be Comixology. But just like, and that's the only flaw of Comixology is, unlike Marvel Unlimited or DC Universe, that all the books on those apps you can read. Comixology is not the case. There's some books you'll pull up and it's like, add this to your wish list, and you're like, damn it, I want to borrow it, Dang. So I think it'll be a minute before this one shows up on Comixology.
I genuinely want to look that up.
But you can always support your local comic shop. All right, so what's your number?
What's
your number 3 video?
Number 3 for me, Among Us. That game, Among Us is. I was telling them about it a little bit earlier. Like this indie game, been around for about a year, just starting to pick up because it's been played on Twitch so much. It's free to play, or you can pay for it and get rid of the ads. I think it's like $5 on Steam, and it's just a game of. Kind of like who did it, who's the imposter. So you get like a group of up to 10 people, and you're on a space station, and at the beginning of the game, like you're told whether or not, like, oh, if you're the imposter, you know. And then if you're given that ability, if you're the imposter, you can hide in vents, you can kill people. As soon as you kill them, somebody else might be like, oh dang, meeting y'all, house meeting. Yeah, man, I saw Botter kill, Tobago. Yeah. And but then like, you might be like, nah, man, I didn't do it. Somebody else did it. And so it's just like he said, she said at that point. And like I'll play it, and it doesn't even matter who killed it. I'll just be like, yeah, I did it. I did it. I did it. And then people are like, did he do it? Because he's saying he did it.
Yeah,
like, no, I didn't.
That reverse psychology.
Yeah. And then they're like, okay, kill the person. It's like, yeah, they're not the imposter. You have other tasks to do within the ship itself. So you can win while not being the imposter by kind of like surviving and finding out who the imposter is. But they'll do random things like, all right, you've got to like drop the trash from space station, otherwise the place is going to blow up or whatever it is.
Oh, so like distractions.
Yeah, so there's other, cool. And then so that's where even more psychology comes in, because you could fake out that you're actually doing a task. Like, so if you just go up there and like you stand there for a second, so it looks like you're doing the thing, and then people are like, oh, well, you can't be the imposter because you're actually doing the tasks. But you could be the imposter, just like walk up and be like, damn, and not touch anything. And it's so simple. Like, it's the other end of Ghost of Tsushima. Like, this is like hand drawn looking, like walk around, like somebody drew the shit on like the sidewalk type of game.
Yeah,
but that's part of its charm. So it's free to play. A lot of people, there's like an in-game chat, so people are talking and whatnot. But a lot of people will get on Discord or Zoom and then talk while they're all playing together.
And they strategize, and that's kind of cool.
Or they'll start role playing. Like, people will act like, oh yeah, I am a businessman and I killed it with the candlestick and so and so. And people are like, man, what's wrong with you? But they're just talking, and it's just fun.
I guess it doesn't sound like a new idea, because, like you said, it sounds like a whodunit or any of these other games. And there's one that I think came out that's pretty similar.
There's like Wolf Among Us.
That's the one. Yep. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think those formulas will always work, especially if like you got a fresh take on it or some sort of charm. Because it's that social aspect of video games that, like, kind of. That's why we like playing multiplayer. It's
weird.
Games.
Like, as soon as you're with a bunch of, it's better when you're with your friends.
Yeah.
But once that chat dialogue pops down and people start talking, and then like all the walls come down, you're like, damn, why is Bonner talking shit like that? You don't ever talk like that. What did he go on, like a business trip to Africa? What's he talking about? Like, I don't understand this. Like, it's fun. I highly recommend it.
That sounds cool. Okay. My number 4 comic book pick is called Wonder Woman Dead Earth. And it is a part of DC's Black Label book, or Black Label series. So it's kind of like, the physical book itself is like an oversized magazine format. So it's not like your typical comic book size. It's oversized magazine. It's only 4 issues, limited run. It's like a self-contained story. It's not part of the main continuity. It's done by Daniel Warren Johnson, and I think the colorist is named Mike Spicer. But Daniel Warren Johnson does the writing as well as the main art duties, and it's essentially a post-apocalyptic Wonder Woman story. She wakes up, the Earth is completely, in ruins. All of the heroes are dead. She ends up finding out she's the cause of it all.
Oh, wow.
And then, it's up to her to kind of fix things. If you're a fan of Paul Pope or Jeff Darrow, so like really hyper realistic artists with like just a lot of detail in their work, Daniel Warren Johnson is fantastic. Like, he is one of my favorite, modern, current, new writer / artist. And the fact that he does his own writing is really impressive too. Last year or the year before, I think, he had a comic series called Extremity, which was like a nod to Akira, in my opinion. It was absolutely beautiful. But I've noticed that he's got a penchant for writing very gritty, just dirty, because the amount of details he puts in everything are always real dirty, and he seems to really favor like a post-apocalyptic stories where humans are just like at the very brink of extinction. But he always has a lot of heart, because he puts the main character in these really rough situations, and they're not perfect. But they've got to dig deep to and during these bleak times to like kind of rise up to the occasion. And it's no different from Wonder Woman. She's just vastly different looking in this comic book. She's not pristine. She's not overly like, kind of lost my track of thought. But
Wonder Woman typically has like a certain air of polish.
yes,
and
thank you.
Regality.
Polished, regal,
Yeah.
but still very strong.
Yeah.
But she's definitely still like a proud woman. But in this one, like you see such a different take on Wonder Woman, because like she's not confident, and she's gone through some things. She doesn't really know her place on this current landscape. So the adventure is definitely like one that kind of immediately pulls you in, and then the characters and the things that she's got to overcome, the obstacles and the villains, and having to deal with like her own home world. It's definitely interesting, man. Especially I think issue 2 or 3, they kind of explain like here's why the world is the way it is right now, and there's an epic fight scene between her and Superman that is like Dragon Ball Z rated R levels. It's insane. That's what Daniel Warren Johnson does. Is he loves drawing some epic fight scenes, and I can't recommend it enough. DC's Black Label series has been really good for like more edgier storytelling with like top tier creators, with no worries about continuity. Like you can just pick it up and read it because that's what the Black Label is supposed to be. Is like, hey, here's like our adult stuff, and you don't worry about like what's going on with this. So this is another series that I would definitely recommend to new readers or old readers. And it's aside from being like just if you're a fan of post-apocalyptic stories, this is just right up your alley. Because I don't think I've personally read anything where Wonder Woman is in this setting as the main character.
I've never seen her in that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's such a drastic. You're like, wait a minute, Wonder Woman like in this setting, like Gal Gadot Wonder Woman? Nah, it's not Gal Gadot Wonder Woman at all. So this is another one that I started reading and I was like,
Letty?
Huh? No. Oh no. Yeah, I recommend this one. So what about you? What's your number 4?
My number 4, actually this is gonna be it's a new one and a throwback at the same time. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2.
You are literally naming all the games I either have started to play or is sitting in my cart. And Tony Hawk is one that I was like, I'm A-okay with this getting a remaster.
At first I was like, why? Like this game was played to death. Like they made so many of them. I mean, this is during the Guitar Hero phase when games were just being like churned out over and over and over again. Like, yeah, we did everything we need to do with Tony Hawk. But the remake of it is so
is it that night and day?
It is, because it's everything that you remember, but updated. Again, this is something that was updated with care. You can tell the people who are making it knew what worked from the old one, and they're like, okay, we're just bringing that stuff up. We're gonna update it. We're gonna make the controls snap and play better. Update the graphics. They got the music right, which I think is one of the most important things with Tony Hawk. Is like the soundtrack. Dude. You know, like that soundtrack was.
I think it's safe to say for me, that game, and then I think sports games in general really helped grow or establish my music palette at that age when I was playing like video games constantly.
I just wish they would have had the music in the game for most of the sports games. Like usually EA, it's in the game, but just kidding, the song's only in the title screen. Like all the music, like they would have all these songs loaded up, but not playing during the game.
What songs are on Tony Hawk?
I remember. Why am I blanking now?
Well, the lights are on. And
yeah.
The cameras on. But because I know for me it was like Tony Hawk and then NBA Street.
Oh, NBA Street!
Like for me, there are some songs.
Reminisce.
Yeah. I can't listen to that song and not want to do like a 720 windmill duck.
Oh, they don't have the soundtrack on here.
I will say, do you know what my favorite move in Tony Hawk is? That when I first did it, I was like, "What? People can do that in skateboarding?" Is the
Pogo? Oh yeah, the Christ Air. Dude, the Christ Air. That was like that's the go-to. And then you find out about Ronnie Mullen, and you're like, "Wait, people can do what on the ground with their skateboard?" And oh god,
that game was just so much fun to just pick up and just do the wildest tricks.
Yeah.
Like especially like the grind challenges.
Yeah. Dude, I started playing. As soon as I started playing, and I started like remembering, I'm like, I can start seeing the lines again. All right, I gotta do this. And I'm wondering what it's like for online multiplayer, because
what? Oh my
'Cause
god.
If it's where
We didn't have multiplayer playing it
exactly.
originally.
So if it has that's gonna escalate even higher for me. Because right now it's just super fun to play, but like, God, what if like the short boxing game, like we could all just hang out in the neighborhood? Like, hey, you go skate? All right, hold on, I gotta go wax this curve so I can grind it or something. Like, but Tony Hawk, music's good, controls good, graphics are great. And even little things like they updated now to where they have like girls, like female skaters. I think they've got.
They didn't have female skaters in the OG.
I don't think so. The OG.
That was definitely
it
well.
was a different time.
It doesn't surprise me. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Because I think they were thinking that's not our demographic at all.
Yeah, it wasn't. And like LGBTs like represented in it too. So like they've got the old school guys and they've got here the new school, here the young guns. And
I used to be able to name off like skaters like
Yeah.
that.
I can't now.
Not anymore.
Nah.
I'm already mad. Oh yeah.
Tony Hawk, Rodney Mullen.
Something
That's
Rodriguez, because he had the shoe line, but that was actually I think the first sports game that we had ever bought as kids.
NBA Streets.
Like
so good.
NBA Streets is
Yeah.
another level of good to me. But Tony,
It's
I don't even
today.
remember how like we convinced our because like all we would play is adventure games, fighting games. So, but then somehow we got a hold of.
I'm just refocusing. That's not
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I guess I'll hold up the game.
There you go. But I remember as a kid, like we just got a hold of it, and we were like, we don't even skateboard.
Yeah.
But man,
Well, it was weird because
we
Tony
played
Hawk
that until like
actually had. I remember it had like black and brown people in it,
yeah.
which was weird. I was like, because I was like an inline skater at the time, and I didn't know that there were that many other people that were minorities that were skaters. And then when I started playing Tony Hawk, I'm like, oh damn! I was like, what? Like other black people that I just said other black people because I'm not black, but I was like other like minorities that skate. I'm like, that's dope. And I think that'll do the same for this generation. Like for girls, like they're gonna pick it up. Like, oh wow, like there's actually other girls skaters that are, super prominent and popular. So Tony Hawk. I wish I could. Like I could hear in my song, "Oh, did the dang of the Genesis," but I don't know what song that is.
Oh, did the dang the Genesis. Okay. So my number 5 comic book pick. Last but not least, and honestly, none of these are really in order, but I think they could probably work in the order that I've been saying them. But another DC book, another part of their Black Label series. This one is called Strange Adventures. So by Tom King, and then art by Mitch Gerard, and they've worked together a few times. Specifically, I think the Batman series, the Mr. Miracle series that they've done. Like they're just one of those comic book powerhouse duos that are making a name for themselves among like the other really great comic book duos, like your Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb, Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness, et cetera, et cetera. Like they are a really good tandem, and anytime you see their name, it's guaranteed it's probably going to be a pretty damn good book. But this revolves around Adam Strange, who is a kind of, I'm not going to say he's an obscure character, but he's definitely not a mainstream household name DC character. He's kind of like your pulp sci-fi hero, the human that ends up getting teleported or finds his way onto another planet, the planet called Ran, and he ends up becoming like their kind of hero.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he gets some space gear, and he fights, aliens, etc.
It's always confusing me whenever like Marvel and DC have like characters that have kind of the same name.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Yeah.
This is Captain Marvel. Oh wait, but this is the Marvel person on DC.
Yeah.
What?
And I hopefully no diehard comic fans will kill me, but I don't think he's ever shown up in like cartoons like that. Not like the Justice League Unlimited series,
I've never
or any of that stuff. So, like I said, regardless, he's not like a household name, but Tom King, being who he is capable of taking any character and breaking them down to their core and presenting a very human-like story, and just kind of winning you over. So, he's a hero of the planet Ran. The comic book series Strange Adventures finds him back on Earth. He's doing a book tour. He's just released a book about his time on Ran and the war, being a war hero and things like that. Well, it comes out by way of, you're not really sure yet, that he committed a crime while he was on Ran. So now the media ends up turning against him to the point that the Justice League, is a little worried about this PR fiasco, and they're starting to kind of wonder, like, well, do we need to step in? Well, Adam Strange ends up reaching out to Batman saying, "Hey, I want you to do an investigation on me, so that way I can prove my innocence." Well, Batman's like, "Well, I'm too close to this, but I do know someone that is a little unbiased that we can get," and they bring in Mr. Terrific, another non kind of like household name, but by the time you're done, it's only up to 4 issues. It's a 12-issue limited series. The first issue came out this year, May 2020, matter of fact. Still relatively new. But off the rip, it will make you a fan of Mr. Terrific. Just the way that Mr. Terrific is supposed to be the world's third smartest man in the DC universe. So
like Mr. Fantastic.
And Tom King leans into it. So like you get to see the perspective of the world's third smartest man, what it means to be the third of anything. But his story arc, or this comic book, kind of tackles things like hero worship, how we treat, quote unquote celebrities. It touches on like cancel culture. It touches on like how we perceive truth, especially when it comes to like the media, so it's not
super relevant.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like some crazy. I mean, there is definitely action. He kind of tells it in Mitch Gerard does the art for the present day, and then Doc Shaner, who is a fantastic artist himself. He kind of reminiscent of like a Darwin Cook. He does really good like old school kind of vibes, drawings, whatever. But he does the artwork for the past. Anytime that they tell the story in the past, or he's recollecting a memory or something. So not only do you have like 2 really good artists drawing doing the artwork, but it's also Tom King taking a look at a character and putting him in very, like you were saying, like problems of modern times. And I don't think that we've seen, too much of that in comic books, where we're questioning, as a reader, you're questioning Adam Strange and even like superheroes in general. Like, man, at what point do we start questioning their behavior or holding them accountable to things that they've done, and where do we weigh like the greater good? It's
you need to watch The Boys, man. God.
I've watched. I'm only halfway through episode 1 of season 2. I'll catch up. But this is another example of comic books kind of exceeding the beat 'em up Caped Crusader bad guy. It's like nuanced, and I feel like I've said nuanced like 10 times already. But it's just a different angle, and you're like, wow. Man, would we cancel superheroes if they were real? Like, would we be holding them and this, whatnot? So, that is the 5th comic book that has completely reinvigorated, re-energized me as a comic book fanboy. Ryan, last video game, number 5 for you, or your 5th.
This is a very adult game. No, I'm kidding. So this will actually tie back to you. I'm gonna go number 5 is Spider-Man.
All right, I was either expecting Spider-Man or Cuphead. I was like, either way, it's a win. But Spider-Man, damn, I was just saying the other day,
Spider-Man
might be the best video game I've played in the last
long time.
Actually, it's up there. It's like top 5 Marvel movie. It's one of the top 5 best Marvel movies ever.
I think I went from Spider-Man to Ghost. Is that the same studio?
Insomnia? Isn't Insomnia?
Oh wait, it's Sucker Punch. Sorry.
Yeah, Sucker Punch did the Ghost.
Which those studios, though, they're both Sony studios, and there's a lot of, you can tell there's a lot of intermingling there in the way that they've set up, kind of like the actual framework of the game, and like the progression system is very similar. Like a lot of shades of Spider-Man are in Ghost of Tsushima.
You know what? Yeah,
and a lot of shades of like the earlier Infamous games are in Spider-Man.
I think for me it comes down to the level of the different things you could level up. Yeah. Because that's my thing with Ghost. It's like, dang, I can level up even my headband. You know? Like the smallest detail. You're like, I don't need to level it up, but
once you start getting those other armors.
But Spider-Man was the same way, where I was like, oh, I can.
How many different suits? Or like my spider tracers, or
exactly.
This thing, or my electric shock. Yeah. But it was handled really well. Like you never felt like you were getting tired of leveling things up. You wanted to level up things just to see how they were. You're like, oh, sweet, I get another costume. Like, there was so much stuff going on in terms of, like, side missions. A few things I didn't like about Spider-Man. I didn't like the chase missions when you're trying to, like,
Yeah, through the towns and stuff, like the
that stuff,
bands.
And the, anything where you were, like, Mary Jane or Miles, and you were, like, in the sneaking missions.
Because the momentum, you lost the momentum.
You just killed it.
Oh god.
But everything else
It's
was amazing.
It's like they said, all right, let's focus on the story first, and then we'll figure out how this becomes a video game.
At first I was like, I don't care about Mr. Negative. He's a buster. And then, but by the end of the game, I'm like, okay, he's legit. Like, I cared about Mr. Negative's like storyline and all that kind of stuff and how it's tied in. I cared about what was going on with Aunt May. The fights with like Doc Ock and Rhino, like all that stuff was so well done. And
every boss fight felt like a moment.
It did.
I was
really
like,
did.
I'm in the video game.
I'm
in the
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It was very similar to how you felt the first time when Spider-Man 2 came out, and you're like, I can swing through like Spider-Man. That's the one thing that they need to upgrade with the next Spider-Man. Is they need to make it so you can jump from the top of the buildings and die. If you used to be able to do that, you could just jump, and you would just die. You can't do that.
Oh no, because I think right before he hits, he swings out, right?
He swings or he like superhero lands now.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm like, man.
You know what? The Spider-Man game for the PS4 feels like the Spider-Man game for the PS1 that came out in 2000. That is like among like everyone's favorite. Yeah. Meets Spider-Man 2, the movie one that came out. It's like they mashed both of them together and then gave it a really good story.
Which makes me even more hyped for Miles Morales. When they showed Miles Morales, I played that song on him. The feelings things stuck in there. I'm like, oh yeah, it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my number 5.
Because there was like, I keep joking, but I think I'm pretty serious. It feels like a Marvel movie. I kept like after I beat it, I was like, top 5 Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Right here. Because it was so heartfelt and you felt like every character had a story arc.
Yep.
They had like a purpose and just like the story was just tight. It was just like, yeah. It was enough fan service for like diehard comic book readers like me, but also like for people that really love video games. I think they can enjoy the mechanics, the different upgrades and things like that.
And it was so good at establishing its own universe.
Yes.
Similar, like kind of what you're saying with Hulk, like this is its own story and universe, and you accept it for that. Like these are the callbacks and getting things that are true to the character that you got, the beats you got to hit. And when you can hit that, it's okay to go create your other new universe. You can, as long as you give enough respect to the original canon and character, you can go wherever you want.
I mean, to your point, they gave us like a really unique Spider-Man. Actually, in one of the episodes I recorded last week for the podcast, we were talking about our favorite Spider-Man, alternate Spider-Mans, whether it be alternate reality Spider-Man or just an alternate costume. And that was like among my top maybe 5.
Dude, that was a dope costume.
Because it was like, wow, a white spider on the chest.
Was that pre-Endgame? I want to say that was before Endgame. Now that I think about it.
If it wasn't
with all the spacesuits, like I was like, because I remember when they came out, I was like, oh, like all these Avengers white suits, but I don't remember.
I don't know about I think it was probably pre.
Yeah.
Actually, it might have been for sure pre, but I mean, it was like a unique. If everything felt unique, but also Spider-Man, like a unique looking Spider-Man. The villains, I think, all got upgrades, and that game was so popular. There was no way that Marvel couldn't. Like, I think they recognized it because then they started doing the Spider-Verse, or they gave him his own comic book series and his own like universe as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because like some of those costumes were so good. Like the Speed one. I think there was a Speed.
Yeah, remember the Speed costume?
There was a Speed costume.
Was the punk thing already a thing?
Yeah, that was already a thing. There was like the stealth. There was a few costumes in that game you hadn't seen anywhere else, and then they ended up showing up in their own comic books because the game was so popular, and some of those costumes were so cool. So that was a really good pick. Really good pick.
I gotta check. I gotta check out. I want to read the Wonder Woman and Hulk stuff.
Oh,
and
man.
Stealth. I really want to check that out.
You'll enjoy it. I gotta play that. What is it? One Among Us. What is
Among Us.
Among Us.
I'll send you the link. It's free, so you can just like.
Well, you know that's my favorite. That's my favorite 4-letter word. Other than Botter, that's my 4-letter. I had to.
But well, thank you Wasabi Con for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us nerd out a little bit.
You can find Botter at...
Oh, shameless plugs? Okay.
I mean, why not? We did this whole thing.
If you've never heard of the Short Box Podcast, and
you're like most people in the world.
You're like the rest of Jax. But if you are a fan of comic books, pop culture, and podcasts, might I recommend you check out the Short Box, a comic book podcast. It is hosted by myself and my crew of diverse, sarcastic fanboys. The show is focused on comic book reviews, recommendations, and interviews with industry professionals. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be Apple Music, Spotify, Google, etc. Just search the Short Box and hit subscribe. Where can people find out about GAM?
GAM.
Aren't you guys having a convention soon?
Man, shut the fuck. I'll slap you. GAM is not a con! You can find GAM, that's GAAM, just put like at I Love GAM on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're a gaming culture company. We throw events, we do online gaming, anything in the gaming culture. A lot of art stuff, primarily be original, do good. So anything we do, try to make it unique and make it ours, and also make sure we're doing something positive at the same time. I mean, we're pretty diverse too. I don't know. We're all diverse. Like, we don't even get to use that anymore.
Yeah,
everybody's diverse.
Yeah, they're like the Tony Hawk game now. You know, the remastered version.
Exactly.
They represent everybody.
I'm not bringing up Tony Hawk. I'm just trying to refocus. But yeah, that's it. Enjoy the rest of WasabiCon.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of WasabiCon. Shout outs to Tom. Shout outs to Danielle. Right, Danielle?
Yeah, Danielle.
Perfect.
Danielle's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll put some kind of wipe thing here.
Dissolve.
We'll do like a PowerPoint presentation.
Oh damn! So they had so you had people showing up.
A few. Well, I made it unlisted, but some people saw the notification.
How'd they see the notification if it's unlisted?
I couldn't make it unlisted until after it went live.
Oh, okay. So they saw it. And then,
yeah.
Huh. So it doesn't close out the link when you.
Nah. So I could have made it private.
Well, it's just unlisted, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
If they. Okay.
Let me see here.